I'm going to teach you today how to pick an extracurricular like Warren Buffett would. On today's show, we're going to use the power of 25-5 to pick your perfect extracurricular. It's crazy. I got a phone call from someone stressing out saying, Eric, I don't know, I'm so busy right now. My mom actually had to deliver food to my dorm room because I'm forgetting to eat. Now that's just crazy. And in fact, that's not good for any of us. I'm gonna talk today a little bit about how to be thoughtful about picking extracurriculars that are gonna help you stand out and thrive without making yourself go crazy. Now, Warren Buffett recently was asked how he was so successful. And in kind of an offhanded way, he said, well, listen, one of the things that I do is every month or every quarter or so, I do this exercise that I call 25-5. He said, I go through and I list off all of my priorities I'm working on, and I list them all out. And then what I go through and is I rank them all from 1 to 25. Anything that's below 25 I know is definitely not important for me to even consider. Now, you may think, okay, interesting, Warren Buffett prioritizes. What's interesting about that? Well, that's not the magic, he said. What's important here is he said, basically, I look at the things number 6 through 25 as the things that will distract me from the greatness of what's possible in 1 through 5. So, the key thing in the 25-5 rule is we need to do less, and in particular, we need to avoid those things that are sort of interesting or kind of neat in 6 through 25 because they distract us from the 1 through 5. So, here's what you should think about when picking extracurriculars. It's not about how many you do. In fact, that's probably the last thing to worry about. When I look at a resume and I see all these things on it, I see all these clubs, all these sorts of activities, I look at that and I say, I don't even know what this person's story is. Instead, what I want you to look for is what's the one thing that allows you to create enough depth that you can showcase it off. Here's what I would mean by that. Is there one thing that you can do that allows you to create something that they can judge you on? So for example, if you're going to pick a particular club, is there a way for you to organize and run a 12-part speaker series that you can interview these people and put it together in a podcast that you can also launch? Or perhaps there's a way for you to put together some kind of a white paper based on a bunch of interviews and research you've done as a group that you could publish in that way. The key thing today to using our extracurriculars in the correct way is there something you can generate from that work that becomes part of your portfolio? When you're trying to stand out today, it's not necessarily just another name or another list. You want to be spending time on something that allows you to showcase your depth. And that's the thing that's missing for many people today is they have a list of things, but none of them wind up allowing them to showcase depth and build a portfolio. I use the story sometimes. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to see it or hear it, did it make a sound? And the same thing can be said about your extracurriculars. Think strategically about your extracurricular. If you're gonna do something, think, what am I going to be able to take from that I can package up into something that I can then use to showcase to a potential interviewer, to a potential job, to a potential partner, whatever it may be. What's the thing that produced? What's the proof that I did something there? What's the podcast I can create from it? What's the white paper? What's the book? What's the thing that I can create from that extracurricular? So, in the words of Warren Buffett, remember, more is not more. More is actually the problem. Instead, it's those things in 6 through 25 that distract you. So identify what's the 1 or 2 things that you're going to do as extracurriculars. And then think about what is the evidence they're going to produce for you. What's the thing that's going to say, hey, listen, I invested my time in this extracurricular and therefore I can show that to someone else in my portfolio. So as you're thinking about your extracurricular, remember, just pick 1, maybe 2 if you're really lucky, and figure out how you can take that time and energy to produce proof that you've generated some expertise from that experience. And that's the way you can pick your perfect extracurricular.